This video is for sections 103 and 104 of Hansen and Quinn's Greek and Intensive course, and it covers object clauses of effort. In Hansen and Quinn, you can find this information on pages 378 to 380. Object clauses of effort are really exactly what they sound like, even though it's pretty dry grammarian jargon, object clauses of effort. But here's what they are. They are a clause, each of them is a clause that is the object of a verb, a particular kind of verb, a verb of striving or of effort. So that's what the object clause means in the title Object Clauses of Effort. And the effort part of the title Object Clauses of Effort tells you that the clause shows the effort that the subject of the verb of striving or effort is affecting. So this is going to be in sentences where there's a verb of striving or effort, where somebody is making something happen, and the object clause tells you what that effort is. What is it that they are trying to make happen? For these clauses, our conjunction is hopos, and it's going to introduce a future indicative. The default translation is that she will verb, and the negative is may. So you're going to see object clauses of effort with one of your new verbs, mechanaomai. So mechanaomai hopos is going to mean contrive that. And we're going to see it also with a familiar verb, but in a new definition. You can use prato, hopos, to mean bring it about that. So making sure something happens. And that needs a clause to tell you what it is that somebody's making sure happens. So let me give you a couple of examples. Prate hopos tes polios arxe. So there we have prato and hopos and the future indicative of archo, so arxe, and we get she is bringing it about that she will rule the city. Fairly simple. Let me show you one with mechanaomai. Mechanontai hopos tous polemius nikesusin. So here we get to use contrive with our fabulous new verb, which, as you know, is an alpha contract, which explains the circumflex and the omega. And so our translation this time is they are contriving, or they contrive, that they will defeat the enemy. Or enemies, if you want to translate tous polemius in the plural way that Greek does. So, pretty simple to do when you've got a verb of striving, hopos, and the future indicative, that she will verb. It actually stays pretty simple when you use these verbs in other tenses. It's just that English isn't as simple. So I just want to show you a couple of examples in the imperfect and the aorist, just so you see how to express in English what is happening with Greek, still with the future indicative. So emecha nonta hopos tous polemius nikesusin. As you can see, that object clause is exactly the same as when we had mecha nontai in the present tense, but English is going to make it a little trickier to translate. So they were contriving that they would defeat the enemy. That's what English has to do to talk about the future from the point of view of some time in the past. That's all you need to get used to, and it's pretty natural. If you're a native English speaker, that won't cause you much trouble. So let's just see that one more time with an example with our other verb. Epraxas hopos he demokratia meluthesatai. So now we have, you brought it about that the democracy would not be destroyed. So it's still future indicative in the object clause with the hopos, but English needs to use would as a helping verb to express that from the point of view of a main verb that's in a past time. So object clauses of effort, very useful with specific verbs, but they can also be used independently. So hopos and the future indicative use that conjunction and the future indicative and put a period after it, and you have a whole independent sentence on its own. And that independent use of hopos in the future indicative becomes an alternative to imperatives and also to the hortatory and prohibitive subjunctive. The default translation for this is see to it that she will verb. So you can use hopos and the future indicative to express the result, the effort that you want to see happen, and sort of give that as an urging or a command, simply using this construction with hopos. The negative is still may. Let's have a couple of examples. Hopos tous polemius nikeseta is going to mean see to it that y'all defeat the enemy. Hopos me nikethesesta means see to it that y'all are not defeated. Hopos nikesomen means let us see to it that we conquer. So this is a very useful construction, and you will see it every once in a while in Greek in the wild. Of course, we have another way to use hopos as a conjunction, and so I want to make sure that you can see the difference between object clauses of effort and purpose clauses. So, hopos and the future indicative is really the direct object of certain verbs of striving, and it answers the question what. So she contrives. What does she contrive? And hopos and the future indicative will tell you what that is. Hopos and the subjunctive, or the optative, is a purpose clause and answers the question why. She sends the enemies away. Why does she do that? In order that something. And that answers the question why. So, mechanatai hopos tu demu arxe. Arxe is the future indicative. So we can see, even if we didn't suddenly realize, oh, we have a verb of striving, that what we have here with the future indicative is an object clause of effort. And so he contrives that he will rule the people. What does he contrive? He contrives that he will rule the people. Tauta mechanatai hopos tu demu arxe. Here we can see that arxe is in the subjunctive. So even though we have a verb of striving with mechanatai, what we get here is something that's answering a different question. It's a purpose clause. So he contrives these things. Oh, really? Why does he contrive these things? In order that he may rule the people. So pay attention to your endings. Remember now that hopos can do different things, and ask yourself, do I have a verb of striving? Does hopos take the future indicative here? Could I be answering the question what someone is striving or bringing about? Or do I have the subjunctive of the optative after the hopos, and am I answering the question why? That should take you pretty far in understanding object clauses of effort and being able to translate them when you see them in Hansen and Quinn or in real Greek in the wild.